Yeah, he says, you could either leave or you can stay and keep your mouth shut. And I'm just like, Reese is still whipped. He is still whipped. But also, I think I was like, no, he doesn't he shouldn't have been there. He shouldn't have
He
been
shouldn't
there.
have been there. He made it worse. He made it worse
Yeah.
for sure.
And also,
Because
where's
even
Elaine?
Amryn.
Where's Elaine? Why does
Yeah,
no
but
one
see,
think of Elaine?
I think it was wise that Elaine wasn't there, because when she mentions, she says, "Where is Elaine?" And Elaine says, or Farah says, Elaine is packing your bags and helping with that stuff, and she is on board with this, because I think Nesta's pretty good at manipulation, and I think Elaine would cave, and that's why Elaine's
she
like,
would.
I'm not going because I want to help Nesta, but if I go, I'll just go anything you want, Nesta, because I'm too soft and too weak. So, and we know that having read the other books, so it's kind of makes sense. Hello and welcome to the Literary Labyrinth podcast. It's a good tune, right? Anyway, hey, welcome on in. My name is Leela. I have unrealistic standards for men and love fantasy books and escapism and all that jazz.
And my name is Linda, and I love to read, but I don't get much time, so I read at a snail's pace.
Yes, and we are two sisters, one that reads fast, and guess what?
And one that reads slow.
Indeed, yes. So thank you so much for joining us on this podcast episode. We are now we've been doing our ACOSF series. So we have read A Court of Thorn and Roses, A Court of Mist and Fury.
Very good.
And then what was it?
A Court of War and... No, Wings and Ruin. Sorry. So it's because I say...
We don't even know what we've read.
Wings and Ruin, which was...
And then Frost and Starlight, completely unnecessary.
What was that? And now we go to A Court of Silver Flames. Oh, check it out.
Look at this bad boy. Look at this beefy book.
This is the biggest one, isn't it? Like the biggest one. Boom.
Damn. And this is the final one that has been released. Obviously, we know she's bringing out the book, but we are now going to be up. We're going to be up, but we're going to know. We're going to be up to date. So every time our friends go, oh, thank God, now we can talk about it. We can be like, yes.
Yeah, they were a bit more thingy about like, oh, thank God, now we can talk about Wings and Ruin. And we're like, yes, but not this one. Not this one yet.
So yes, we are reading A Court of Silver Flames, and this is actually a really interesting one because this is written in the third person, because all the previous books were written in the first person. This is now written in the third person and is from the perspectives of Nesta and Cassian, who are the characters we'd be interested in for some time, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think even Sarah J Maas was sick of Freya, so she's like, let's move on.
Yeah, we all be sick, girl. I'm sorry, but
she's had her time.
Yeah. And I have to say, as if you have previously listened to our podcast episodes, you will have listened to our reactions and how we felt about each book. But with the comparison of the last book, A Court of Wings and Ruin, massive disappointment. I think for both of us, I was much more aggressive about it.
Yeah, no, I thought like the first half was good, and then it just sort of went weird. Like I don't know what happened there. We like lost track the second half, and then I don't really understand Frost and Starlight. What was the purpose of it? So when it came to this, I was like, God, is it going to go the same? But first chapter, back. We're back, baby.
We're back. We be back. Yeah, I completely agree. We are back. She instantly, the chapters that we're going to discuss today were really just riveting. I was like, thank you, thank God. So yeah, I can't wait for us to get stuck into this. So which chapters are we reading today, Linda?
So this will be part 1. It's going to be quite a long, like a lot of different podcasts, but we're on part 1 and it's chapters 1 to 8 that we are reading. So yeah.
Yes. 1 to 8. So snuggle down, get yourself a little tea, or if you're traveling and listening to us on your headphones while you walk around, because we're gonna get stuck in on our first reactions to the first part of A Court of Silver Flames.
Yeah. So yeah, we start off with a little prequel to what actually happened in that said cauldron. So we'll go all the way back to Mist and Fury, or like the
the end of Mist and
end
Fury,
bit. Yeah,
basically.
when they just throw her in that cauldron.
Stick her down, push her down into the cauldron. And it's really good because this has been the thing we've been like, what did Nesta go through? What did
Yeah.
she see? What was her experience? And obviously it sounds like hell, as she describes it, a cold hell, a true hell. It was not fun for her. And you really get an insight into her trauma.
Yeah. She didn't want to go in. Well, obviously you wouldn't want to go into that, but it was supposed to be like icy water, but it wasn't really ice. It was like a kiss of venom, something like that. So I was like, okay. So yeah,
Because she says things like phantom talons tugging her down, and like these are the type of words that are described like a death's promise, and like Nesta laughed at the fear that crept into the king's eyes just before the water devoured her, as if she
yeah,
tried to grab some semblance of her humanity back. But it's it's hot, it's burning, it's
yeah,
ripped her apart, it's screaming and pain as like her very self into two, and there's no sound. There was nothing in this place but darkness, agony, and power. And you're just like, this is the first time you hear about any of
yeah.
this.
It said as well, like, it's like molten ores pointing to her veins, and then boiling like boiling her human blood until there was nothing but steam. So like she's basically dying, and then
Yeah.
like a really painful death, and
Yeah.
then being remade.
It's crazy. And I wonder as well, because obviously there's a point where she said she tore into the darkness with talons and teeth, rent, cleaved, and shredded, because she was like
Yeah,
bucking and throwing. She was fighting. She was fighting against it. And she like took that, obviously, that essence from the cauldron. And I wonder if it was more painful for her than it was for Elaine, because she was putting up more of a fight slash
yeah,
being wasn't going down easily. She was going, I will rip you a new one if you're
yeah.
gonna kill me. Whereas that's what I would be interested to know what Elaine's experience was. I'm sure traumatic, but was it as traumatic?
Because yeah, it says it gifted Elaine, but she took like Nesta took. But then I was thinking
That's
when
it.
you said that about the talons and teeth, I was like, how has she taken what it is that like how did she steal the thing from the cauldron? It's like it makes it very like wishy-washy. I don't really know what's going on here, but I'm like, how did she do this? Going into the darkness and taking, how did she take it?
I'm hoping, because A, of the size of this book, but also that's a little precursor for us to say, this is what you're going to know, because maybe this is the amount that she wants to know right now. Nesta's like, it keeps popping up and she keeps suppressing it. Like, I don't want to go back there. And then later, we may get more information about what actually what's really going on there. And maybe she opens up to Cassian, like, later in the book and stuff like that.
Yeah, maybe. So yeah, that's how it starts. And that this is what she's happened in the cauldron. And then we go into chapter 1, where it's
Yes.
coming from the third person, but we're seeing Cassian. It like first starts with Cassian trying to knock at Nesta's door, and she doesn't live in the townhouse anymore. She's got her own place in not the slums, but
No,
somewhere there.
the scummy area. So she's got a crappy apartment. But you know what I think is really good is, I don't know how you felt, even with the first chapter, Sarah J Maas's writing is like so much. It's just better. It's just better in all aspects,
Yeah,
because there's
engaging.
things where she says Cassian knocks at the door and she heard the locks, like there's 3 locks on her door, and every single one was like, I can't remember how he described it. Was it sort of like a punch or like a rip or something, like something unpleasant as each one was unlocking? And I just think the way things were punctuated was just much more, I don't know, much more interesting, much more like it kind of sucked you in as a reader, whereas the previous book felt very like surface level.
Yeah, it was more like, here's another battle, here's another battle, or we're going to another battle. And it was very like, I'm going to tell you all the different things and all the political things and why people are doing it, where I was like, I just want the basic story about why it is. And here now we get like the story. What, and I think that's why you could do it, because it is a new character. It's not a new character like thing, but we're getting a new, like a new
We're getting an
story.
insight, yeah, into somebody new rather than them be a side character. Yeah, it's very true.
Yeah. So that, I guess
So,
you can really do it that way, but that's good. I'm up for it. So yeah, he's
mhm.
at this house, but there's some things that they're talking about. Like she said, the townhouse was sitting empty because they've constructed a new sprawling home on the river. This is Freya and Reese, and I'm like, how long is this? Like, so it's been 6 months and they've constructed everything already. Like,
It's crazy.
so
Yeah.
6 months have passed since the Starlight Frost era, and she got that like abandoned house that needed a lot of work. And 6 months pass, and boom, we've got a whole estate, and we've vacated the townhouse. Where's Elaine staying?
Yeah, we don't quite know, but we sort of know she's in. I think she's probably staying in the place they used to be, right? I think
Okay.
it does mention it. I just can't quite remember. But anyway, chapter 1, we get into Cassian goes to Nesta's apartment in the kind of scummy area, and Nesta opens the locks after he's knocked on the door, and she's wearing a man's t-shirt. So she's been
Yeah.
having the sexy time with she's having a one night stand with some guy, and she's looking a bit hungover and a bit worse for wear.
Yeah.
And he's saying, we need you, your sister's calling you, you need to come up and see them. And then she actually says, doesn't she, it's probably because I raked up like an insane bar tab last night and they're probably going to tell me off for it. And you're kind of like, yeah, they're gonna tell you off for
Damn,
that.
Nesta. How much did you like pay? And she's just
And
like,
it's so
yeah,
funny because I love the stuff that Cassian is really, I do feel for, because you could see he really cares for her,
he
but he's
does.
saying things like, kick out the sorry bastard, get washed up and bring your tea, and I'll bring you some tea. And she's just like, and he's
Yeah.
like, you think I, go for
Sorry.
it.
No, I was going to say that with like, there's a bit where he's just like, you're not expected till 9, but I thought like I give you a couple of hours to get ready. And she's like, do I look like I need 2 hours to become presentable? He's like, oh.
Because she's almost just like, all she's doing is just pushing and pushing and pushing, because and also drunkenness will not help her here. And she's like, sex, music, drink. She learned this past year, all of it helped. Not entirely, but it kept the power from boiling over.
Yeah. So is this her power like from being released? She's just stopping it from being released, or just it's the pain? I was a bit kind of confused if it's the power or the pain of the whole, I don't know, like the past that she's trying to
Well,
draw
it's
down.
weird because even in this point, she says if she could, even if she could feel it streaming through her blood, coiled tight around her bones. So I think there is a power that is moving inside her, and because she's not using it, and she is not. It's kind of stirring, but also I think it's connected with her mood, right? It's that kind of, she's depressed and she is self-sabotaging herself
Yeah.
and avoiding her problems and pushing everyone away. So it just puts a stopper over it. And that's what she's doing. She's in survival mode. She don't care. And that's that. And so everything's foreign to her because but you have to wonder, it's been, I don't know, like a good year? And
Yeah.
Nesta's just been on this trajectory of, maybe it's not quite a year, but almost.
Is it? No, because I can't remember how many months it is from like Wings and Ruin to Starlight. Is it like 4 months? I think it's about 4 months or something.
It's like 4 months,
Yes,
and
it's
then
almost a
later,
year.
as we'll discuss, it's been frost, so that's the winter. And then
Yeah.
something happened in the summer with her and Amron, which we'll talk about in a
Oh yeah.
second. So we know summer's passed. So it's possibly like late summer, maybe early autumn, that
Yeah.
kind of
It's
time.
definitely a year since she changed into being
Yeah.
a. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's almost been a year since she's been depressed. Yeah, and they just were like, "Oh, we just thought you'd just wait and Get out of it
But I
yourself.
think what's a really interesting thing is we've known Nesta since A Court of Thorn and Roses. So my thought is she's been depressed for a lot longer. She might be like, it might get heightened with the being a fae and that whole traumatic experience, but she's not been a good
Mm.
place. And so she's just coasted her whole time.
Yeah, I think you don't know. Like she has been depressed since A Court of Thorn and Roses, but she's been able to handle it, and she's just like, I can control it. I'm just like controlling it this way, and then all of a sudden, after her dad died and all that kind of stuff, it just like lost it, and she's not been able to control it now.
Yeah, totally. And so I think this is why like having these conversations is really interesting. You can feel that coming off the pages in this first chapter and the preceding ones. So anyway, so she gets told, get up to the house, and there's a bit of back and forth, and eventually Cassian takes her up to the house, and she's like, I'll get there myself, but he's like, no, I have to take you, so you're gonna have to come with me. And there's a bit of back and forth banter, but not really. It's more him just trying to keep the mood a bit chilled.
Yeah.
And also the other thing that we learned, which I think is a valid point, is she talks a little bit, but like the sex had been bad, you know, she'd had better, but also worse, but she'd actually broken her virginity as a fae.
Yeah,
And
just
the guy didn't know that. Yeah. So that's a pretty big deal, right?
Yeah, just to a random, she's just done that, and she's like, "Yep, I don't care, whatever." And I'm like, "Oh my god!" And she goes back and she says things like, you know, I like keep thinking about the icy water of the cauldron. I keep thinking about the King of Highburn and my father, and then she says a bit about like her father had that foolish love for her. Why did he do that? Right to the end, he said like, I've always loved you, and she's like, I don't understand why he said that. But there's nothing like that says, she says like, I really regret I didn't talk to my dad. She just like, he was like an idiot for saying that.
Yeah, she's like, what a stupid dumbass. But it's almost like that's her tolerance for, if she gets angry and annoyed, it's easier than getting upset.
Yeah, and she does say it's like, it was the king, like she goes, I knew it was my fault that Elaine had been captured by the cauldron. It was my fault that Highburn had done terrible things to Hunter. My fault. So she's blaming herself for all that too. So she's just taking on too much. But best thing was though when like Cassie was like, "Okay, we're going," and she's like, "My God!" Like she had a nice bath and everything, but like she's picked up like some ragged things. She must like smell bad. And the
She
stress.
has wine on her shoes, doesn't
And a
she?
shoe covered in wine, and she's like, "Yeah, well, it'll do."
I know. I think that's a really good thing because it gets to the point where you're just you get it, and they're just like, "Ugh." And also as fays, like they can smell pretty well.
Yeah, they're gonna smell that. They're gonna just smell like hungover. Yeah, so off they go.
Hungover, sex, everything.
To the
So they
river
get to the
estate.
house. The
Estate.
riverfront, yes, the riverfront house was actually an estate so new and clean and beautiful that Nesta remembered her shoes were covered in stale wine precisely as she strode through the towering marble arch and into the shining front hall, tastefully decorated in shades of ivory and sand. And then there's a little bit description on the house being very cozy feel and
Yeah,
great. Good for Farah and Reese. Fantastic. They're going to
I
have
know.
babies and whatever.
There's a bit where she goes into the lounge, she goes, every piece of art had been picked by Freya or painted by her, with many of them portraits and depictions of them, her friends. And I was like, oh, is that a bit cringe? Like, you know, you walk into the main foyer and there's a picture
I
like,
think so. I think it's cringe.
Richard Moore going, hey.
Just be like, and everybody knows your name.
It's a bit
Yeah.
cringe. No?
But
Okay.
none of them are of Nesta. None.
None of them. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's not even her. There's pictures of her father and
There's
Elaine sitting on a
Elaine.
bench. None of
Nothing of Nesta.
or her mother.
And I'm a little bit like, doesn't that just say something? And Nesta's like, yeah, of course.
Yeah. She's fine. She's like, yeah. Well, I'm just used to it.
Yeah. But she does get a little bit annoyed about the fact that it's now Farah and Elaine. It used to be Nesta and Elaine. And now it's not, it doesn't seem to be happening. But that's because Elaine's now sort of adapting to her Fae lifestyle because she realizes I've got to do something, I've got to be proactive and try.
Yeah.
Whereas Nesta is just self-sabotaging herself. Her self-saboteur is on fire.
Yeah, like Elaine's got her friends, her wraith friends, and her gardening and pals. So yeah, I think, and like Nesta hasn't really got anyone. She did have Amryn for a while, and then yeah, like you said, they fell out. So
but we don't know why.
no,
That's
we
the
don't
other
know why.
thing. They say they went to there was like a barge or some party, or
A
a
boat
boat
party.
barge. They were in a boat party. Yeah, they call it a barge, whatever. And they were there, and Amryn and her had a big fight. Nobody quite knows what the fight was about, and that was it.
Yeah.
And so that's why, when she walks into the room, Amryn's first comment is, "You look atrocious," and then she's like, "Nesta wasn't stupid enough to glare at the whatever Amryn was," because she's just like, her tongue was still sharp enough to wound. So clearly, yes, still bad blood.
It's harsh. Amryn's like harsh, cut to the core. Like all of them are. Also, I just felt I felt a bit bad for Nesta. She walks into this living room. Faye's there with Rhysand, Amryn, and Cassian are just there.
Though I will say, as much as I've disliked Farah in the last book, I will say she handled this pretty damn well.
Yeah.
Because there's moments where basically she goes in and she thinks she's getting don't pay for the bills, but actually they're like, this is an intervention. I mean, that they don't say it such, but we are telling you. And Rhys is looking at her like she's a piece of dirt. Amryn's looking at her like she's a piece of dirt. And there's a moment where Rhys just kind of is aggressive with her and says, I'm the highlight. And then Farah's just like, if you don't stop, get out, because you're not helping. And
yeah, he says,
it.
You can either leave or you can stay and keep your mouth shut. And I'm just like, Rhys is still whipped. He is still whipped. But also, I think I was like, no, he doesn't, he shouldn't have been there. He shouldn't have been there.
He shouldn't have been there. He made it worse. For sure.
And also,
because even Amryn...
Where's Elaine? Why was no one think of Elaine?
I think it was wise that Elaine wasn't there, because when she mentions, she says, where is Elaine? And Farah says, Elaine is packing your bags and helping with that stuff, and she is on board with this, because I think Nesta's pretty good at manipulation, and I think Elaine would cave, and that's why Elaine's like, I'm not going because I want to help Nesta, but if I go, I'll just go anything you want, Nesta, because I'm too soft and too weak. So, and we know that having read the other books, so this kind of makes sense.
So they give her an intervention saying, we're not paying for this anymore. We're not letting you live there. You've got two options. Either you go train and live in the House of Wind and do a bit of a job in the library, or you go to the human world. We just drop you off there. See how you do.
I kind of do understand that, because they're like, you need some sort... It's almost like they've said to her, you're going to the army, right? That's what they've kind of said. You're going to the army. You know, when you need somebody that they need discipline. You wake up, you do this. You can't have this. You can't just walk in and spend your money. You have to sort it out. And she is very freaking pissed. But there is something that Nesta says to Farah, and I don't know if you found it, but there's a sentence that cuts deep, because Farah's like, where she says, this is your fault or something.
Yeah.
This would never... Something like that.
But I was like, actually, do you know when she said you're moving into the House of Wind right now after this meeting? Like, you can't go back there. We're going to get it demolished. I was like, this is a bit too harsh, I think. This is too much. And I know you're going to be like, no, I don't think so. And I'm like, no, this just feels like gradual. Come on, like, you get her to say goodbye and then move her. And then you're going to be like, no. But I was like, no, I just think this is too much. Too much.
I will say no, only for the purposes. Remember, this is a fictional book and it's a romantasy, and you need to kind of move the story along. I get what you mean about it being gradual, but I think it's got to the point where they've just been really shit about it. And their response is, do you know what? We're going to have to, or to be fair, Nesta, you kind of can't be gradual with Nesta. You need to force Nesta. Nesta's not the person that's gradual, because she'll just keep doing what she's doing. You have to just go, this is what's happening. deal with it. It's too bad. You don't like it. Who cares? So I kind of understood that.
Okay, there is a little bit something in the middle of this fight that I don't know if you picked up on. So there's a bit where like she's saying, yeah, you need to go and your planes are getting packed, and Cassian's like, you're going to train and stuff like that. And Freya has a shield around her, and
yeah,
she's like, oh, it's part of my ongoing training. And
fair.
I was like, why is she having
Reese's
this
training.
Yeah, I was like,
No,
why is she
it's
training? It's like Helion said, oh, I've got to break out of it. And then Cassian's like, oh yeah, it's really strong, isn't it? It's even Master Ascent. And I'm like,
say that again.
and I'm like, oh God, hold on, cut that. There we go. And I'm like, she's pregnant, isn't she?
100%. 100%. He knows. And that's why he's pulling that shield around Farah.
Yeah. And he's like, put a shield around her. He masks her scent. She's pregnant. Oh yeah, and it said something like before when she walked in, she had like an oversized sweater or something. And I'm like, oh, this is coming to get. This is like hidden in this like fight. I know what's going on.
Oh yeah.
This is a side issue. Well, that was quick, 6 months.
What was the
I thought
thing?
it took ages for a Fae to like get pregnant, but hey, it's not.
I know. It's like it didn't actually take that long, did it? It was just like maybe because they had sex like every second of the day.
Oh,
I have
God,
no idea because they totally did. Where's that line? Hold on, I just want to try and find it.
What, the bit where she's just like, I'm not a member of your court, because she does have a stand up against Rhys.
No, she says she cuts into Farah and she says something like,
so
she says like, this is your fault. You did this to me. I wouldn't be a Fae if it wasn't for you, basically, is what she says.
Yeah.
It's like really nasty. And it must be in the neck. I don't know where it is. That's so annoying. Let me just check. Wait a minute.
Yeah, she said here, you dragged me into this mess, this horrible place. You are why I am like this, why I am stuck here. And yeah, and then Rhys gets the really freaking angry.
Yeah, that's the malicious bit, because Farah goes, ow, that's kind of true.
Yeah,
but it's swallowed. It's not though, because as much to Farah's defense, Farah was defending them. Tamlin was a giant wolf. She went on their behalf, and everything is gone in the story. So just cut that shit right out. Anyway, so yeah,
she does stand up for herself. She does stand up. She's like, "That's enough. We're moving, and that's it. You're doing it." Like, she does stand up for herself, and like doesn't let Rhys take over, because Rhys is like, "I'm gonna take over. I'm gonna kill her," and she's like, "No, get out."
I love it because Nesta's like, and where am I supposed to go? And he's like, you're coming with me to train, and then that's when we move into chapter 2. So it's like a lot of information, even in that first chapter.
Yeah. So, but yeah, just seems to be so much going on. This is what she's having to do, and I quite like the Freyr in this. It's back to old Freyr. And I'm like, yeah, you're coming back. Maybe pregnancy is going to be good for you. We don't know 100%, but I know she's pregnant.
Oh, we do. We know she preggers. Yeah. So chapter 2 goes into Cassian's point of view, and then it will go back into Nesta. But he's taking them up to, basically they're making their way to the House of Wind, which we know is the same place that was where Farah went for a timeout in Mist and Fury when she found out that Rhysand was her mate. So that's where they're going. And the library is underneath where Bryaxis lived, but he's currently missing still.
Who knows?
So this is where they're going, and
yeah. So yeah, Nesta's still kicking off a fight, going, why now? What does Elaine have to say about this? And they're like, no, it's happened. Sorry. And she said she never explained to Freya had never found the words to explain why she'd put distance between them all. Elaine had been stolen by the cauldron and saved by Asriel and Freya. And she'd realised it had all been Freya, not her or Freya. How it felt to find Elaine's tent empty. So she blames herself still about this again. So keeps reinforcing this blame. And she says she didn't know where she belonged in this world either. So that's a big thing too.
Yeah, she's struggling with her identity, but also she's struggling with the fact that she's actually a completely different species. And she's struggling with a lot of things, Nesta, and you really feel for her.
Yeah, so yeah, they're still in the room for this bit, and she didn't know where she belonged. And she keeps on complaining. She's like, I am not a thing to be controlled by you. Like, it's the exact same thing in the cauldron. She's like trying to like get out of it any way she can. And
Yeah.
they're all like standing up to her.
It's like it's a defense mechanism, right? It's a classic defense mechanism. She's like, nope, 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 nope. But it's interesting that when Reese and Nesta were having a bit of a, like
Yeah.
Cassian sitting there watching it is like his siphons flared in warning as Reese's power was rumbling. And you're just like,
Yeah.
is there going to be a situation, which I think there is, where Cassian is going to be like, punch Reese in the
No.
face, don't touch Nesta? I'm going to tell you right now, that shit's going to happen, and it's going to be hot.
But also at the same time, he's maybe going to Reese like, do I need to defend you? Because I don't know what kind of power she has. And she could like,
Yeah, right? My high lord. But I don't think so. At this point, I personally feel that Cassian is always, he's concerned, like he's with Reese, but he knows Reese is very powerful. But he's very much going, I just wish Nesta would stop pushing, and I wish she would just, it's just so sweet.
know. Yeah. I never know if this is a bond or not. You know how like they always talk about bond, like Lucian's got the bond. I don't know if this is a bond because no one talks about it.
I don't know if it is, because he seemed to have affection for her, and it also gets mentioned by Nesta, maybe not yet, but in a few chapters, about her feelings for him, and that she found him very attractive when she was human in the house, not when she was Fae. So I don't know if it's a fate thing that she was always gonna be a Fae, like a little bit like Farah was destined, or because you're right, they never mentioned there's a bond, there's the mating bond. No. Because you look at Elaine, and Elaine has a mating bond, and that's not going so well for her. So
no, that like it's always been Elaine with the mating bond, and never Nesta. So I don't know if this is it doesn't seem like it's a bond.
yeah, so in this chapter as well, we find out, because there's a line here about Cassian saying, yet Nesta and Amren had always shared a bond, an understanding, until their fight on the barge, which we don't know what it's about, because Amren's like, it's not up for a negotiation, good day, bugger off. And she's like hell it isn't, and it's like, your apartment's being packed up, blah blah blah, too bad. And obviously it goes in, and Amber's just like, so here are your options, girl. She always knows how to do it, girl. You're like,
well, I think they're both in the same power, like Amren and Nesta. Like they're both like vicious to each, not vicious, but like they just tell her how
they
it's
have
straight.
the same temperament. Yeah.
And so she knows she could get an honest answer from like Amren, and so Amren's like, yeah, I'm not bullshitting.
Yeah, because even here it says Amren, they agreed, had always been the one of the few people who could get through to Nesta, who Nesta seemed to fear, if only slightly, and who understood somehow that Nesta was what Nesta was deep down. But again, it's that thing of they both don't talk or share, so we don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So we're like, what's going on? So yeah, that's basically it. Like she says, oh yeah, you have to like do this, and she is just given up, and she's like, right, I'm never going to speak to you again, Freya. That's how it ends. Like, I'll never speak to you again. Yeah, she just
goes, and then obviously just to clarify, there's a little moment of the clarification of Elaine, because she says Elaine needs to be able to see me, and then she's like, Elaine's agreed to this an hour ago. She's currently packing your things. They'll be waiting for you when you arrive, and that actually upsets Nesta. And then Farah's just like, Elaine knows how to contact you. If she wants to visit you, she will do so. And that's the end of that, right? And Nesta's upper lips curled back, and she's just like,
put in our place. Yeah. So, yeah. Then we go
so funny. There's a point where Cassian says after that, he says, I promise not to bite. And she's like, I suppose this was your idea.
Oh, and she's everyone.
Yeah, Cassian's like, it was. He lied with regret, and it's not his idea. But he said it was, as if we're going to have a wonderful time together. And then she's like, I want to speak to my sister alone.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, obviously she says, I never want to talk to you again. And then that's kind of how the chapter ends until we get into chapter 3, where Cassian and Rhysand have a little catch up
in his big office, where he has a big picture of Freya behind him, and I'm like, oh my god, another cringe
I want to know
moment.
what that picture looks like. Like, is she just lounging with like some like I feel like she's part naked, you know, or something, like on the bed.
Oh no.
You
Oh my
just know
god.
it. Oh.
Yeah, but Cassian is a bit jealous because he's like, I'm happy for her, but I want that kind of love too.
I know. And also, you have to think about it. He's had a lot of shit, Cassian, because he's just always called a bastard. A bastard this, a bastard that.
Yeah, it's not
Poor
very
guy.
nice.
And
Yeah.
so Cassian spent like 4 months with the Illyrians trying to smooth things out after the war that we discover. Like, making it clear that there would be hell if you rise up, guys, so don't bloody do that. And Rhys is like, that's great. Thanks so much for your help. Also, I bang Farah a lot, just so you know.
I know. I was like, no, we don't need to know that. Like, he doesn't need to know that.
And he's like, I'm very happy for you. Great. But he's like, okay, also, you know how you're doing all that stuff with like putting the Illyrians in order? We're also going to give you more work. You're going to be
bigger responsibilities.
We're going to give you more responsibility. And everyone knows at a job, they're like, we're going to give you some more responsibilities. You're like, so he becomes, what does he assign him, basically?
Yeah. So, yeah, he's, because Asriel is just so like exhausted, he needs to find out. I never see Asriel. He's too exhausted. But the queens have been scheming again, and they've been like putting like bad like words into the other continents and like wanting to start a war again. I'm not really sure how they are because they're human queens, but anyway. So they want to know what they've been saying, what these queens have been saying, and how to deal with these queens, as well as train Nesta. Where Nesta's actually worst, actually more work than the queens. Finding that in, he wants to be like a courtesan or something. It's not courtesan.
It's like a courtier.
A courtier,
yeah, a courtier, like one that's good with language. But he obviously isn't a very social person to talk the lingo. He's more of a brute, fighting, as he quite says. And he just said, I thought like dealing with the Illyrians and now Nesta, that was enough. And he's like, you could be more. And he's like, I'm your general, isn't that enough? And he's like, is it enough for you? And it's so funny because Cassian's like, yes. Like, he almost said, but he didn't. But he found himself hesitating. And then obviously Rhys is like, okay, well, it sounds like I think you can do it. So anyway, that conversation happens, and it kind of moves on to Nesta's perspective, and it's Nesta, Cassian go to the House of Wind, but they have more with them, more helps them.
She has to keep coming to winnow them everywhere. Like, that's kind of
she like winnows them, but then Nesta like drops because she winnows them above, because you can't winnow directly into the House of Wind because of the wards. So she's winnowed them like above that area, and then Cassian has Nesta, obviously lands immediately with the wings and everything, and then Nesta like pushes off him real quick because she's like, he's touched me and I'm feeling things. I'm feeling his body.
I'm in a mood. Go away.
It's like, and yeah. So then they get there, and she sits down. This is it. She's like, I remember where everything is. I don't need you to tell me, because obviously this is where she and Elaine stayed right after their whole changing into a fae. So, yeah. And then her classic thing is, I'm not going to eat. I don't want to eat.
She goes straight to bed. Yeah, she does. She just goes straight. She goes, I'm going to go rest. And then she just falls asleep for the whole day. Oh, I think she just
but what's interesting is it's good to see this perspective, because every time she's like, I barely managed to toe off my shoes before I slid beneath the quilts. I closed my eyes. I breathed. Like, she's suffering from anxiety. Like, it's bad. It's not good. She's still hungover. She's still hungover. She needs a bath. She needs a freaking bath.
Yeah. There is something, when she said about the whole toes, or she has to breathe and she doesn't feel, something feels foreign in her body and distance, so she has to just like lie down, and this happens quite a lot, and I think it's her power, but we don't know why she does that.
I think it's the fact that she's not expelling it, or she's not accepted her power, and therefore her power is relenting against her. So she's fighting multiple things. She's fighting the fact that she is struggling mentally. Her body is new and is repelling against her because she's not dealing with it. Because I think she is very fucking powerful, and she just is going, nope, nope. And so, because there's even a moment, and I can't remember, there's a chapter where her brain is telling her, like, you're going down and you're getting, like, back. And she's like, no, stop. This is a dream. Enough is enough. And then her body sort of goes, fine. It's almost like it's trying to push her, trying to egg her on. Like, come on. And you're just like, no.
Kill everyone. Yeah.
Which I kind of really want her to do. I really want her to, like, freaking annihilate a bunch of people. Can't wait. I hope it happens. I really hope it happens.
But still.
Well, I'm interested in seeing where the story goes. So anyway, chapter 4.
Yeah, so she's gone to sleep. Cassian's like, well, I'm bored, so I'm going to go and see more. So she's like off in a coffee shop somewhere, setting herself.
The Riverfront Cafe?
Yeah. She's been into the Winter Court because that's where she left. She went off to be I don't know, like liaison with all the different courts, and she was at the Winter Court while they were doing winter solstice. I don't know what they were doing. But anyway, she's back now for a bit before she goes off again, and she sat there catching up with Cassian at the River Cafe.
That's right. And she says something about, because obviously she does not like Nesta, and she's like, she's very much, when she even speaks to Nesta at one point, she's just sort of like, you people don't deserve, like, the second chances and stuff. And what's really good is you understand it from Moore's perspective, because she's gone through horrible people, the nailing in her stomach, the things like that. So she's like, you don't deserve it. But then you also see the other side of it, where Nesta's like, yeah, I'm a terrible person, you should just push me away. And you're like, but you're not. You're just trying to push that narrative out so people will do it. So then you feel, it's like you're basically getting people, you're self-harming yourself through other people. That's what you're doing.
You're doing a bit like what Rhys did in like Court of Mist and Fury, where he's like, I'm creating this massive thing that everybody thinks I'm scary and mean, and so they don't come near me. And she's like, yep, you're doing the exact same thing. But she does say a couple of things, like, because he's asking her where she's been and what we've been doing, and she's like, I've been trying to get everybody to sign a treaty, but nobody wants to sign a treaty for the wall, and everybody wants to take the land. So there's like been a couple of things where people have been slow, or the courts have been trying to take the Spring Court or the human land, and also those stupid human queens are stirring. I don't think Valhalla is interested in peace or aligning with us. That's the one on the continent. So there's all these different things now. I'm kind of like, oh, Valhalla is continent. The queens are in the human land somewhere scheming. And then you've got like the Autumn Court trying to weave itself in. I don't know what's going on with the Spring Court right now. And then you've got other courts who just don't want to have a treaty.
No, yeah. So you're kind of getting a subtlety of, now that people know that the King of Hybern's dead, there's everyone's a little bit it's not ended the war, but it's not, because people are not agreeing to a certain type of peace.
It can't go back where it is. So like, what do we go back to? And she was saying that maybe even like the humans are looking to start a war with the human queens, but why would they be stupid enough to start a war they can't win? Which is a bit like, I was thinking like, why would they start a war with Fays when they know they can? What have they got? Like, what have the human queens got? Like, what power that they think they can win? And
we know they're very sus, that lot. And don't forget, one of them's not human anymore. She's a Fae.
Oh,
that's what they keep forgetting.
She's an old crone.
She's an old crone, and she is pissed at Nesta because she made her look old.
Yeah, and also there's the other one as well, Vasa, who's still a bird at night. No, bird during the day, human at night, and she's still got like a leave of absence, so she's okay at the moment. And Moore's like, yep, you've got to go and speak to Vasa, figure out what she knows about these queens, and
Yeah.
Also, Lucian's living there with Jurian in a nice castle called the Band of Exiles. Yeah,
Band of Rejects. Yeah.
A Band of Rejects.
I just call them the Reject Team, and it's fine. Like, it's kind of nice that he's got that little group, bless him. And then Eris has somehow convinced Kier to not visit Valaris yet, and I don't understand why. What does he mean?
What does he have under?
Because Moore's like, yeah, and he doesn't really go into it in too much detail. Like,
no, Moore just goes, it doesn't matter to me what he's got over him. But I'm like, yeah, well, what?
Kind of does, though.
Yeah, but why has it happened? What's going on? So yeah, that's sort of the basis of Moore's visit. There is something else, like he says to her, "How are you feeling?" and she's like, "Yeah, I'm all right." But we don't get into the why Moore's feeling a bit meh. Maybe
it's interesting because there's a note here. It says, "Eris bought me time," is what she said. Her words were laced with acid, because quite rightly so, she still hates him. Cassian had tried not to believe it, but he knew Eris had done it as a gesture of good faith. And then he said, you know, like, it's weird. Like, why would he do it as a gesture of good faith? And he said, so obviously we don't know what he sacrificed. Like, what's going on there? There's another thing that must be happening. So anyway, so she says, get some rest, okay, that's your mission, and good luck with Nesta. And then we kind of move back into Nesta's point of view, because within the chapter, and she's just woke to pure darkness, this poor sod. Darkness that she had some night witnessed in years, and she's clutching her chest and gasping for air and all this stuff. It's not good. Poor girl.
But we hear a bit of her past as well. So she's kind of like woke up, and then this thing, she gets like bits about her past where her mom says, Elaine's going to marry for love and beauty, but you are cunning and you shall wed for conquest. And I'm a bit like, what is her mom? So her mom would always like take her on and trying to get her like to be the, like the best cunning queen to get status. But like Elaine was always with her dad and like really nice, like, like bonding and like, doing nice things, where it was always like a test for Nesta.
It is good that we actually see that side, because now we understand why she maybe is like that with her dad, because she was sort of very close to her mother. She lost her mother. She resented her father for it. And that's always stayed with her. And having, like you say, an advantageous betrothal to the continent. And she says her mother would have hated that she was potentially, because we know from A Court of Thorn and Roses, she was maybe going to marry this guy Thomas, who was like a woodcutter or something.
Oh, yeah.
But then we also find out that he sexually assaulted her.
Yeah, he did. He like
and nobody knows this. Nobody knows this.
He tried to beat her or something when she tried to say, like, no, I want to end this engagement. He tried to beat her and stuff like his dad did him, like his dad does to his mom. And so, like, she got out of it, but she, like, barely got out of it.
And yet,
so
there you go. She left, but then I think Cassian knows, though, because Cassian figured it out on a different occasion.
But when he went to visit the house, yeah. He did, like, he could see that
she just happened. I think that's what happened. It just happened not that long ago, when they were still human and they were visiting to say, can we have a meeting with the queens and things like that. And he could detect it. He was like, who the fuck is that?
Yeah, who's done that to her and stuff? And she didn't speak about it. Yeah,
but what's interesting is he says, if she told me the name and she gave me permission, I'd fucking rip him. And I would make it slow, and I would make it painful. So you also see a side of Cassian that's quite similar to Nesta, and that he is a good guy, but he will execute you like nastily if you try.
Well, he has executed people.
Oh yeah, like he's got a nasty side, like real nasty, like real bad. But then, I mean, Asriel and Rhysand sure do, but it's kind of nice to see it from this point of view.
Yeah, but you realize then after Nesta like kind of tells you a little bit about that, why she's become so vicious. It's like she armed herself, like as in she didn't want to be about poverty, and she just armed herself as being a wolf, and she struck more lethal in her comments and stuff. And then once she got back to that level again, where like her friends were, because they all abandoned her, she just couldn't stop it, so she just became that person.
That's just what she knows. Yeah, it's like a defense mechanism. It's just how she's protected herself. So then we get to chapter 5, and it's like the next day, and she's awake,
Can we
and
skip
she
over the
goes,
Cassian Reese talking thing, because that was cringe as well.
yeah, it was a bit weird. So we're in the House of Wind, and it's Cassian, Nesta, and it's like, right, you gotta eat your breakfast so we can go train. Nesta's like, nope, nope.
I'm not eating my breakfast. Oh yeah, but he goes, not eating won't bring your father back. And she's like, that has nothing to do with this. And she pisses her off.
But it's kind of true. It's like, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna try and pretend. Like, I'm gonna say. And I think he's good to do that,
Yeah.
because she gets like annoyed, and even that he's like, eat, like, you've got to eat this, and then he's like, have it your way, and he finishes his porridge and eats his eggs, and that's it. And she's like,
Yeah.
she's just...
But yeah, so
but she swears. She does profanity. Profanity happens because there's not actually that much swearing in these books.
No,
But
it's
in
not
this,
actually.
so this one, because this one's even highlighted, because you don't know anything. Keep your fucking opinions to yourself. And then he blinks and goes, who taught you to curse? Because I guess it's not kind of a typical...
Yeah.
Oh.
But there is certain things as well. Like she's like, yeah. He just goes like, yeah, glad to see you woke up ready to play, Nesta. And she's like, I couldn't help the thundering of her heart, the voice and the challenge of his eyes, the nearness and the size of him. And she's like, oh, he
They're
had
both
wanted
hot
me.
for each other. They
I know.
want each other. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
He's
He's like
oh,
talking
boy.
about her ass. She's talking about the size of him. He's like thinking about the way that she's gonna move on his dick at some point, or
It's right into it. Like he's just a bit like, yeah. He goes, those pants were going to kill me, and I'm like, my God. So she's just like, he had once nuzzled and licked at her throat, and she's just like thinking about that, and he's just thinking about her pants, and that it's been a while since he had any sexy time. You gotta go get, because he's
But
just
what's
like, oh my
brilliant
God.
is, the one thing I did love about this chapter was the fact that she's like, you're about the bed thing, about, she says, if you think this training nonsense is going to result in you climbing into my bed, you're delusional. She's like, I'd sooner let in a mangy street jog. And he's like, it's not going to result in me climbing into your bed. It's going to be you climbing into mine. And you're like, you know that's going to happen. You
Yes.
absolutely know that's going to happen. And she's just like, and I love it, because he knows that's the only way he can play this game. He's got to go back and forth with this like verbal fight. And then he's just like, no, look at that ass. Shit. I need to go and service myself.
I know. Like he's just like, I gotta go. Bye. So yeah, they both really hot for each other, but really hate each other at the same time. So it's hilarious. But anyway, they get winnowed off to the Illyrian war camp, and yeah, just him Tancer, and they're all like looking at her, going, "A woman in the war camp? We must bury the
remember,
bury the
because
weapons."
we have to bury the weapons,
She
which is hysterical. But she just goes, "I'm here for witchcraft," like freaking them out.
Just pisses off, and he's like, "Please stop!" Like,
and he's like, "Fucking hell, please don't say that." And it's because they're all freaked out by her, because they're like, there's something wrong with her. She's like mystical or some shit.
yeah.
And why is she here? I just love that she said witchcraft.
I know, she just doesn't piss everyone off, like she just does. And so he's like trying to get her to train, and what does she do? She's like, I told you I'm not training. And she just sits there,
sits on a rock.
him. And I felt really bad for Cassian, actually. Like he'd taken her all that thing, and like in front of everyone, she just sits there and embarrasses the shit out of him. And but the thing at the other side of it, I was like, what did he expect? She isn't gonna go down like without a fight. But I feel really bad, because there was she said there was a voice inside going, like, don't humiliate him like this. Don't give them the assholes to like see the satisfaction. So like, I did see two sides of this, but she isn't going to go down with a fight. What did he expect?
No, and it's really sweet, because actually while that's going on, there's even the thing, because he's like, get up. And then she's just remembering the moment where she was saying, get up, get up, get up, like to Cassian when he was like on the floor, pretty much dying. And you're like, oh, okay, so she's going through it, but She does feel bad for it, but she's like, I can't. My body refuses to move because she's got so used to the nope, this is how it is, that it's so hard to unlearn it because that's what she knows. And that's the problem, is she needs to get to that point. So we get into chapter 6 and Moore comes back and is like, how did the session go? And they're like, okay. And then that's when she kind of says to Nesta, like, you're, you know, I wanted to dump your ass in the human lands, but, you know, your sister. And she's like, yeah, well, it's great having a sister like Farah, isn't it? Because she's the high lady, so suck it, essentially.
Yeah, she just is just like, yeah, I'm not gonna care. I'm like, I'm gonna piss anybody else.
She's like,
And
you
she
don't
takes it back
deserve.
to the what is it? The House of Winds, so she can start her job at the library.
With Clotho
Oh
the
yeah.
priestess downstairs. Yeah. But she does do that. And it's interesting because she goes, what are my options? To stay in the room and just be dealt with these thoughts, or actively do that? And I think the bookkeeping is actually really good because she's just, right.
She does like books. She does like books as well.
She likes books, and I think it distracts her for the time.
Yeah.
And
But it was
that.
funny when she said, like, she did a really nice day and everything, and the priestess is like, oh, it was nice to meet you, Nesta. Freya speaks very highly of you, and she goes, no one likes a liar, priestess, and then Clotho laughs.
I know, I thought that was kind of sweet because Clotho's just like, this is going to be interesting. Because can you imagine how boring life is for them down there? And then Nesta comes in and they're like, oh, fascinating. This is interesting.
Yeah, she
it's the
is
most
just
excitement we've ever had. Yeah, she's probably like, great, someone's being a dick to me. Fantastic. I love it.
Yeah.
Because
But
I'm
then
sick of
she
people
gets
being
back.
like, oh.
Yeah. She gets back to the House of Wind and wants some wine, but the house will not give her wine.
Okay, can I just say, obsessed with the house. Obsessed. Love. Do you know what? We all need this house. I'm just
give me
saying.
food. Where's my wine?
No, think about it. Can you imagine if you had the house and you're just like, Linda's had a very stressful day, and then Lilia and Sami bowl fork, and you're just like, thank you, house. I just wanted 2 minutes by myself. Yeah. And then it just goes, bed, sit, book, cup of tea, go to sleep. The lights dim. Yes, absolutely.
It's like
I
an
would love this
house. It's an Encanto house.
So, it's an Encanto. It is an Encanto house. Yeah, it's great. I love that.
So yeah.
But
it will not give her wine. She's like having a fight with the house now, going, fine, keep your wine. I'll get my own.
And so we go into chapter 7, and you already know, like, Nesta's gonna do something stupid, like, you know, because she needs her wine to cloud her head again. But anyway, so we go into chapter 7, and it's kind of talking about Moore winnows Cassian to the human land so he can have his little chat with Vasa.
With the brand of exiles. He goes to the house.
Reject pan.
In my head, it was like this is barren landscape. There's this castle in the middle of nowhere, and this is where they are, and there's nobody for miles going, hello. No. That's how I feel.
But yeah, so that he goes in, and immediately Lucian's like, Eris is here, so, you know, calm your tits. And he's like, hate that guy. And then Eris, they have a conversation, and Vasa is sort of, you know, there, and Lucian's paying attention, and Eris is having a chat with Jury and stuff, and talking about the queens and how which one of the queens would be more likely to kill everybody. Yeah, who's gonna really kick up a fuss? And she's like, yep, 100%. It's gonna be, I can't remember her name is something. Briallen.
Briallen, is that how you say it?
Briallen. Yeah, Briallen is going to be the one that really messes you up. She is not pissed. She was the fae that turned.
She used to be a human queen, young, and then she was old, and she's doomed to be old for millennia.
Yeah, so she's like, but it's funny because even Cassian's like, if Briallen made a move against Nesta, he'd kill the queen himself. So it's just like, sweet.
He loves. But so they found out. I think Eris has said that
But
he
then that's
broke
no. But
the
actually,
code.
hold on. Just as a point, there's when they're talking about Briallen and stuff, there his siphons are going crazy, and
Oh
Lucian's like
yes,
easy,
no,
easy, and he starts
it's
kicking
not good.
himself because Cassian's like, I've just made it so freaking obvious that if anyone comes after Nesta, I'm gonna lose my shit, and I've just
Yeah,
stupidly given
transparent.
that away now, like an idiot. Anyway, sorry, you were saying.
But yeah, so Eris has come over to say that he had several dozens of his soldiers were out on patrol and they didn't report back and they went missing and they didn't know, like, it wouldn't have been like a group of humans like that because they don't seem to be that skilled.
No,
Although
yeah.
Jurian did take offense, but that was okay. But it must have been the queens that might have done that and captured the soldiers, but we don't know why they did it, and was it to sow tensions between like the different courts, or what were the queens trying to do? But they know they know it's that Brielle. Is it Briellen? Briellen.
Briallen. Yeah, Briallen.
Briellen. Yeah, they know it's her, but they don't understand why it's her. And
But
also
they
that they
think,
know that she can winnow as well. The queens can winnow, but
but you
yeah.
called it about, remember the bone carver and the weaver, and there's the older brother?
Knew it. Yeah, I
You
knew
called
that.
it.
I knew that. Yeah, the person that kills Vasa and who kind of sold her was Koshi, who is the Bone Carver and Weaver's older brother,
He's a
and
death god.
he's confined to the lake due to an ancient spell. Nobody knows why. Every time someone tries to tell us like why was he in prison, they go, "It's a long story," and you're like,
I know, and you're
"Okay, we'll
like,
get to it
ugh.
later on."
It's yeah. So essentially, somebody tricked him, and he's stuck there. But he's obviously using Briallen and all the queens to get out of his freedom
Yeah,
because there's, so he'll do anything if it gets him out of the stupid lake, because and remember the bone carver's like, oh, my brother's terrifying and I never want to leave this place, so he's obviously quite a scary dude.
yeah.
So that will be interesting,
There's
so at
also
least we
another
we
key.
learn
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, there's another key piece of information though that Eris says is that the other three queens have scattered to the winds because they don't want anything to do with Brielle, and so she's there in that castle wherever it is
On her
by
own.
herself, like doing some conniving and doing something. And I was like, is that true, or is Eris making that up, or it could be true? I don't know.
But it's also like, how does he know that? Do you know what I mean? Like, how is Eris know that? Because he
Yeah,
asks, I need your assistance. Like, can you send Azrael, like, to investigate? And I'm like, well, hold on a second. How do you know that, Eris?
because
But
I kind of remember reading this.
his father, Baron, is siding with them.
So, but oh my God, Cassian is the worst. Like, I don't know
He's
what you
not good
call
at
it.
it.
Like, is it? I keep saying
Courtier.
courtier.
Court.
He's the worst courtier because they just have this conversation and he's like, he'd heard enough. And he just got up and walked off.
He's done.
He didn't say
Not enough.
goodbye. He didn't say goodbye. He just was like, all right, okay. And even like Eris comes after him and goes, you are the worst.
Yeah, I know. I love that. He's like, listen, you suck at this. And even like Cassian knows, but I think maybe it will give Cassian a little nudge up the butt because Rhys-Sans asked him to do this. But Eris does say to him, listen, my father went to meet with Briallen a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I'm telling you this in confidence. Like, if because I'm the only one that knows this. So if you find out and you start gossiping, he'll know I'm the one that blamed, and it's screwed. So you can't say that. So we have to work together, and then that's kind of how I'll help you out, you help me out, kind of thing. But I'm not really sure about Eris and his intentions here. I'm saying,
Yeah, because
it's a
he's
sneaky
when he's telling
man.
him this. He's telling him
Mm,
this. He's like, "Oh yeah, I lied to the others because actually we met
yeah.
up with her before, and then they went missing. What like why did they ally with your father and then abduct your soldiers?" He's like, "Yeah, that's what I want to find out." He's like, "So they didn't go just off. They were allying with her, but like they don't know why." So that is a bit of a.
Mm,
He's just like, I just wanted to know what they knew. So
yeah.
okay, so Cassian and Eris have become weird buddies and they're going to try and find out things together. It's just a bit like Hobson and Shaw, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so Hobson Shaw. That's such a brilliant way of looking at it. Cassian and Eris, Hobson Shaw.
They're just going to fight each other, hate each other, but they're going to have to do the same thing. So,
but they're like, we both have the same goal, but I freaking hate your guy.
I'm kind of here for it. I kind of would like to see this.
Yeah,
just to see
I like it.
The chaos, because I could see them going, like, you know, having to break into somewhere and it just going to shit. Like Cassian,
Cassian's just like a big brute guy, and then the Eris is like, use your freaking head, mate. What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to whatever it is the escapades they're doing. But yeah, I can see it like that.
So we get into the final chapter we're talking about today, which is chapter 8, and it's back to Nesta, and Nesta didn't bother going to the wine cellar, did she? Or the kitchen, because they had been locked. Girl had been, that's it, you ain't getting it. The house was like, honey, you need to sober up. And she was like, I'm so annoyed. So she goes to the spiral staircase that's like 10,000 steps and tries to attempt this. And she was like, I'm not human anymore. I have a fae body. It'll be fine.
I have legs.
And then she is dizzy. She's falling all over the floor. It's bad. She's like, she's got an empty stomach because she wouldn't eat. Remember, she's being a twat. She's been an idiot. And she does 71, 72. I'm like, girl, you know,
it's like that time when you go out and you're like, oh yeah, I can go out all night. I'm not going to eat and I can do this like sports game, and then you just crash. So she's just like, no, I haven't eaten all day. I've crashed. She gets to 111 steps out of 10,000, and then her legs stop.
Oh yeah, she's just I think she must have to crawl back up or something.
Yeah.
Because there's no other way. And she's kind of going through it as well while she's like fell down the steps, and her legs wobble, and she couldn't shut out her father's final words again, saying, I love you from the first moment I held you in my arms. And then please don't kill him. And then her dad's neck snapped. And then that's when she says, like, her legs protest, but she forced them forward. And she's crawling all the way back up. And yeah, she hates the house. She's like, oh, this sucks, this stupid place. And then Cassian's there going, yeah, right. You're having issues. What's happening?
She just crawled in and then just fell on the floor, right face first in front of Cassian, and he's just smirking against the wall.
I love that he's just leaning, just smirking down, and he's just like, you twat.
Yeah, he's just like, you idiot. Like, oh my God. Like, shame on you. So, yeah, go to sleep and get something in your body. Come on. So, yeah, that's sort of it. But the kind of book goes back to...
It goes backwards, yeah. Well, he's just finished with Eris, yeah.
Because he's like, I can't go back to Nesta because she'll just piss me off. So I'm going to go off and do my own thing before I go back to see Nesta. And where did he go, actually? He said, I can't actually know. He just didn't want to go back.
Hold on.
And he's just trying to find information out about Brielle and Koshi because he thinks that they're working together.
Well, no, he's talking about it, but he does go back to the house, but I think he's had an unusually quiet dinner somewhere. You're right, somewhere, and then flies back to the house, and he sees the oak door to the stairs open, and Nesta's scent is lingering, and so he waits there, and he counts the minute. And he said it's been worth it. He's like, this has been great. This has made my day. Yeah. He's like, I had my dinner. I was a bit thingy. Had the courtier thing. That was difficult. And then I flew back. And then I was like, why is that door open? And she's tried to climb down the stairs. Well, this will be funny because she's going to come back up these. To which he does. And then that's when he starts egging her on. She's like, she's like, whoever designed those stairs was a monster. And then he says, which is insane, he's like, would you believe Reese and Az and I had to climb up and down them as punishment when we were boys? And she's just like, what? Like, why? And he's like, because we were young and stupid and we kept testing boundaries with the High Lord who didn't understand practical jokes and regarding public nudity. And I'm like, yeah. So he said, I got...
nice to see the story. It was a nice story. I mean, like,
yeah,
just how they used to be as kids and they were so close.
Yeah, and the fact that they puked on the stairs as well. And then they had to clean it up, and they're like, and she's sort of like, and then he asked, like, how many stairs did you make it to? And she goes, 111. And he's like,
pathetic.
What? Pathetic. And she's like, this stupid house wouldn't give me one. And then he's like, I figured that would be the only motivator to make you risk 10,000 steps. And she's pissed. And she can't, he's like, you can't even stand, can you? Because she's got no muscles at all. And then she's like, go fly into a boulder.
Yeah, and he just keeps saying to her, like, look, if you're getting tired of being weak, come and train. And just leaves her.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's like, just get on it and participate, for goodness sake. So then the next day, Nesta's like at the breakfast table.
Yeah.
And she does eventually eat, doesn't she? She kind of...
Yeah, he does. Like, kind of just like, but Asriel comes to the breakfast table, and they're just like, morning. And Asriel's just like, I don't want to be here.
Asriel is like, awkward. And it's hysterical because she's like, was it Cassian's like, hey, morning, Nesta, and he's like, good morning. And then Asriel sort of just goes, she's like, oh, I haven't seen you in a while. And he's like, likewise. Like, it's like one word answers is all he's saying. How's training? And Cassian's just like,
training's fantastic. Absolutely riveting.
I hope you're not giving my brother a hard time. And then it's like, is that a threat, Shadow Singer? And then the shadows coiled around him, snakes ready to strike. And you're just like, ooh. Like, Nessa. And he's like, I don't need to retort to threats. And she's like, neither do I. And you're like, a psycho. Yeah. And she's like, I want to train with him. And she's like, and he's like, you don't want to train with Asriel because he's ruthless. And she's like, but he's got such a pretty face. And you could just see him like, don't stick me in the middle of your freaking weird relationship that's happening here.
Like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here while you're like bantering with each other. And
but let's get to it, Linda. You know the scene.
A good banter is this bit where she said, oh yeah, you can't manage to walk down 100 steps, like, or you're unable to get out of the chair. And she's just like really thinking, she's just like, doesn't count when you use your hands to do most of the work.
I freaking love it. And there's the thing where she's like, because he's like, I bet that isn't, she starts it. So she asked for this. She started it. She's like, I bet that isn't what you've been telling yourself at night. And Asriel's like,
is that what your smutty books teach you? That it's only at night?
That it's only at night. And I love it because Cassian gets right into it. He's like, it could be any time. Dawn, first light, or when I'm bathing, or even after a long, hard day of practice. And she's like, he said long and hard. And then he's like, sounds like you have a lot of time to waste on your hands, Cassian. And then Asriel's just like,
what's Asriel?
Asriel's just like, you're in deep shit. And he's like, I know.
What's Asriel? He's just like, I am not coming. He's like, you two need a chaperone up there. I'm just like, yeah, they do. Like, they're basically pissing each other off so much that it just becomes a bit.
They're going to explode. They're going to explode. Like, it's going to happen.
Go mental.
And it's going to be crazy. And he may kill her. Like, I don't know. And it's so funny because he's like, Cassian's like, she sat her ass right on that same rock again because he's like, let's train. He says he had no idea how it happened, how he'd gone from mocking Nesta to taunting her with his own bedroom habits, sorry, and then imagining her hand wrapped around him, pumping him until his heart beat. And I was like, how his skin had become too tight and all that stuff. And then he's like, I know that Azriel could tell when my scent had changed, and he just shoots up into the air. Get out of there. And I'm like,
I gotta get out.
Oh my God, Cassian is so sexually frustrated, it's insane. And then they go to the camp to train, to which she just goes, I'm sitting on my rock again, and that's it.
Yeah, and she gets so cold that he's just a bit like, right, do you want to go to the house? And just because, like,
yeah,
she's not training, she's getting cold out there. Yeah.
But she's so stubborn that she doesn't even want to leave the rock.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, she doesn't. She's just like, right, okay, come on into Reese's mother's house, like, get warmer. And then she's thankful for that. But then he puts, I think there's the big fire, isn't there, in the house? And it starts
and she goes, no fire. And it switches off.
She has dread and fear in her eyes and stuff. And he's like, oh, right, do you want to go to the shop? She stares at the fire as if it's murmured to that burning soul of hers. And he keeps going, what are you looking at? And then the logs on the fire pop. And she just flinches and she's scared and she has dread and she's just fear. And her face goes white. And he's just like, what the hell is going on here? Like, there's something to do with the fire. And she just doesn't, like, something is happening.
Because he was going to go in and sort of scold her a little bit and stuff like that. But then he wants to try and make her feel better. So he sort of just, because she's not talking. Because he's asking, like, what are you looking at? Nothing. She's just gone. Yeah. And then he says there are some shops in the village if you don't feel like sitting here. And Nessa's like, still nothing. So he just leaves it and he lets her be and leaves the house. And that's kind of how this chapter 8 finishes. And you're sort of going, what you thinking?
What is that? What is the fire thing? Why is this? Yeah.
I don't know what she's thinking. Yeah, I'm interested. I am interested. So holy shit, like, I think those first 8 chapters, including that little prelogue, just from A Court of Wings and Ruin, it goes up like 100%.
Yeah,
way better. It's immediately better.
Or was it our expectations were a bit like, oh God, is it going to be? And then I'm like, hey, this is actually a good story. Oh, I want to learn more stuff.
I think it helps that it's based on Nesta and Cassian, because they're built up as such an interesting, what's going on there? Who are these people? And I think being able to see inside each of their heads is really interesting. It's something fresh. It's something new. And I think people would just immediately outright say Nesta's just a horrible person. And I think, and maybe some people have experienced this as well, but I think when you have gone through depression and like dark thoughts about not wanting to, or wanting people just to whatever, you can kind of, you can identify with some of the stuff that Nesta's saying. It's the hap of like, you are defensive, you are aggressively pushing people away because you're just not dealing with it healthily, or you don't know how to deal with it. And I think immediately within those first chapters, I think she's really understood. And I think Sarah J Maas said that she had suffered with quite a bit of depression, and that's why she could write this part of Nesta, that you can feel it. Because it's very hard to convey those emotions in a way that's believable unless you've experienced it. And you kind of feel that. And even if you haven't experienced it and you're a reader, you can feel it immediately, I like it.
She needs a hand to help her. She's not going to help herself, so someone needs to help her get at the other side. So there is the whole Nesta and Cassian like relationship, which I'm looking forward to hearing about. But then there's also the Eris and Cassian relationship. I kind of want to know. So we haven't really started it yet. It's just like, let's be allies. And I'm like, okay, what's going on here? I'm looking forward to hearing about this. But we haven't really heard about anything else, like the usual crew, like Freya, Rhysand, Amren. We just see more like a bit like, yeah, it's just like they're just touches at the side, like side characters.
Yeah,
Which I'm kind of
I think what's kind of nice is that you could guess that you'd hear about stuff that Rhysand's doing, but ultimately Farah is probably out of commission because she's pregnant, right?
Yeah, we know she's pregnant.
She's
Oh my
100%
God.
pregnant. Yeah, so
Shield, baggy clothes, pregnant.
and the only way I would say I would like a wrap up, if I'm honest, on Lucian and Elaine. Just
Nobody cares about Elaine. Have you not noticed of the last two
no.
stories? Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
She's over there somewhere. No one cares.
But it's
Poor
weird
Elaine.
because I think there's gonna be a jump. It's gonna be Nesta, Cassian, Asriel popping in now and again, and then Elaine is gonna come to visit Nesta at some point. She will. And maybe then we get a little bit of an insight into it. And because Cassian's working with Vasa and Lucian is part of the team. The interesting thing though is that Elaine obviously has a soft spot for being human, and she was also was potentially married with was going to be with Grayson until everything. That Lucian is hanging out with humans, which I found like, is that like because Elaine's sympathetic with that and he you know what I mean? I don't know. It's interesting.
It's not going to end well. Like, if he makes best friends with them, like, it's not going to end well. They're going to die, and he's going to be still alive.
I do feel a little bit for Lucian. Tamlin, I'm interested in hearing more about.
We don't know anything about Tamlin. Is he still depressed in the Spring Court?
I don't know. I just don't understand how the Spring Court is so desolate. That's something I hope they kind of explain. However, my main focus is, and it makes sense, there's a clear depiction of, we are here, we have separated from them. Farah is pregnant, she's going to be out of commission. Rhysand's going to be shielding her, la la la. And there's got to be a point where Lucian finds out who his real father is.
Yeah. But also, it looks like the baddies in this bit are going to be Koshi and Briellen. Like, they're the two.
Yeah.
Briellen. Those are the two, they're not big. They're not kings of Highburn.
But he's a death god. So that's the difference. He said, Bone Carver, that he is very powerful. So the question is, because Nesta's going to have a one-on-one with him, obviously. And she's going to have some new powers of silver flame that freak everybody out, or that she just goes, because there was that bright light, right, that we saw in Wings of Ruin, where it just annihilated everybody. So if that's inside her, yeah, she's probably got some real badass powers going on. So I'm excited. I like the banter between them. The banter is great. And because it sort of alleviates the fact that she's really sad. And I love the house so much. It's
sort of like a distraction as well for her. So she's just like, yeah, I'm going to piss you off until like, and then they both realize that they're sexually frustrated.
Yes, I know. So that's us come to the end of our podcast episode. We hope you enjoyed our reactions and our discussion on this first part of A Court of Silver Flames. So what are the next chapters that we're reading, Linda?
So part 2 of this book will be chapters 9 to 17.
This is 17. 17.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to read the next chapters, see what happens with this whole training escapade. Yeah, I'm excited.
I am excited.
I'm looking forward to reading.
That's what I mean, because I have to say, when we were going through A Court of Wings and Ruin, I was like, I don't want to read this. I can't. It's just not working. But it is enjoyable. I'm much more interested. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you again for joining us. Please check us out on our social medias. We are on TikTok and Instagram. And you can also follow us and subscribe on our YouTube channel and our Spotify channel, where you can watch and listen. But you can obviously listen to us wherever you get your podcast from. We are at Literary Labyrinth Podcast.
Yeah.
And we will be back here every Tuesday with a new episode. So please do check out our previous episodes if you want to listen to them. Otherwise, we'll see you back here for the second part of A Court of Silver Flames. Yeah!
All right. See you later.
Bye!